Obviously, we can start today on the Bears with our preparation. We'll go through today through Friday. We'll travel out there on Saturday afternoon. Look, you talk about this team. You start offensively, Matt being an offensive-minded head coach. You talk about his team, one thing is they're balanced. They do a very good job being run and pass balanced. They're very committed to the run. You see a lot of effectiveness, how they can go ahead and stay with it and set up other aspects of their game. They have 3 talented quarterbacks. All 3 have played this year. All 3 can make plays in different ways. Whether it's young guy Fields, who's obviously a guy who's got a strong arm, very athletic, very talented, has the ability to make a lot of big plays outside the pocket, does a good job keeping his eyes down the field and taking his shots. You talk about Foles getting in the other day. He's obviously a very experienced guy, can push the ball down the field, very good arm. And obviously Dalton's a very accomplished player in this league, really knows how to take the profit, move the ball down the field consistently. That's something this team really does as a strength, is they have a lot of extended drives. One of the top teams in the league of having drives over 10 plays long. So they can stay on the field, they can capitalize, they have good schemes, they have good systems, they have good coaching. Their team offensive looks good and stay balanced, make plays. When we talk about them defensively, there's obviously a lot of similarities from Fangio's defense, who was here before. Some similarities we'll see from the Chargers defense off that tree as well. But they're really doing a good job using their tools up front. And obviously, Quinn's one of the top, sack leaders in the league. But there's multiple players up front that can really get after you. This front is really built to build a wall, set the edge, but they can get after you in the pass rush, getting up the field and really penetrate. I expect Hicks coming on back this year, or this week, I should say, to finish out the year. He's got to make an impact in the middle. Very similar to some of the other guys we've seen in recent weeks. Talk about Fletcher Cox, guy who's got big size and length, can play to his strength as well as his athleticism, slip on by you. These guys can make plays at all 3 levels right there. And then the kicking game, right now they're doing a really good job in the return game. And Taves has always had good special teams. It always really starts with the return aspect of the game. They're very aggressive. They'll return punts at sometimes coming out of the end zone. All right, so they're always looking for the home run swing right there. They're going to be very aggressive at different times when the situation calls for it to get a return started. That's kick return or punt return. They have some talented specialists as well and look to go ahead and spin the dial using some multiples on their part to keep you guessing. So all 3 phases, we need a good week of preparation to go out there to Chicago and play together as a team. That being said, I'll open any questions you have.
Where do you stand with guys on the COVID list? Anybody coming back today? Or?
So pretty much out of the building right now. So Dexter Lawrence just popped COVID for us. Danny Shelton, Solar, and Love have all been on the COVID list. Now, all 3 of those guys would have the ability on the new protocols or guidelines to play in the game if their symptoms improve and they're able to play physically. But timetable-wise, all 3 would be able to play.
And then Keon, Ross, and Adoree.
Keon's back in the building with us now. He's already started ramping up with the trainers. Adoree's back in. He started ramping up with the trainers as well. Who else you asked about that? Ross is also getting back in the building. He'll be with the trainers as well. So all 3 of those guys kind of in the ramp-up period right here. Today being, a lighter day for us on the field on a Wednesday, they should all have the opportunity to go ahead, build in, and see if we can get into the game.
Where do you stand with your quarterback situation heading into?
So we'll prepare both guys. Much similar to last week, we prepared both guys. Both guys will have their share of the load this week in practice as far as sharing some reps. I would expect to see both guys play.
What do you mean by expect to see both guys play?
Well,
You'll be all right with, switching quarterbacks in mid-game?
If that's what's best for the team.
Who do you think will start?
Well, we'll see how they practice.
Any consideration on bringing anybody else in at that position this week?
No, we've talked about it with the personnel department, but no.
Do you have a plan to be half and half, or it sounds like you have a...
No, but as we go through the game plan, obviously we're going to bracket some different things together. If we think one's better for one guy, one's better for the other guy. But we'll see how they practice and, how we'll go into the game.
Has anything changed? Now you guys are officially eliminated from the playoffs. Has anything changed these last 2 weeks? Like how you proceed, how you approach games, anything like that?
No, we prepare our best every week. I tell the players all the time, the expectations are clear. We expect every player to come in every day, do their job, all right, to work hard, to be attentive to the details of the game plan, put the team first in what they do. I expect them to come out and prepare with good energy, good juice. Our team has always responded that way. I expect them to go out there and compete on the field for 60 minutes. The expectations and the competitiveness, that doesn't change. All right, we're not negotiating or compromising our standards around here. All right, and every game's important. It's a National Football League. You talk, we all lost John Madden last night. One thing John Madden was great about, when you really sit back and listen to some of the things that he said throughout his career, and he talked about the importance of every game and every opportunity in the National Football League and the value of the opportunity we all have to coach or play in this league, and none of that should be taken for granted. I hear people say all the time, meaningless games. What is a meaningless game? Everyone here has worked very hard to be in this position, to play or coach in this league. We're only guaranteed or promised so many games a year. All right, it's a privilege to have the opportunity to go out here and compete. There's no such thing as a meaningless game. Okay, there's wasted effort, there's wasted preparation, but there's no meaningless games.
Joe, you mentioned
John Madden, obviously. I don't know. Did you feel an impact when you heard that news last night? And you have young sons who I'm sure have played the game. And what has that been like?
It's funny because I do have 2 young sons. They play the Madden football game all the time, as do a lot of our players. And you have to educate them sometimes that they don't really realize who the guy was, how accomplished a coach he was, how he really changed a lot of the broadcasting. But then even more important, as I talked to the players this morning, the impact he had on the game by really the compassion and care he had for the players. And really it was, looking after his own players when they were done playing, and the impact he's had, throughout pushing around the league for different rules being changed and things to take in consideration with the health care of players and taking care of the older players with benefits and the things that he's done for the players that sat in the seats looking at us today, that really his greatest impact was for the players on the field when he was already off the field himself.
Joe, did you ever meet him or have any interactions with him?
You know what? No, I did not. But obviously, like a lot of people, you grow up, you heard him, announcing a lot of games. My first exposure to him growing up was as an announcer. It was him and Pat Summerall talking, every Sunday afternoon. You heard him talk all the time. You loved, the energy and the different sayings he had and all that stuff. And then, obviously, as you get older, you get more into the history of the game. You learn about him as a coach. You learn about him then off the field and the things he was involved in. So, obviously, he has a legacy in this league, which is very substantial. I think it's an important day for everyone in the league to understand, what he's done for the game.
Anything else?
Joe, just to clarify the timeline, with 5 days, is he out for Sunday?
No, it looks like he's out for Sunday. Yeah, it looks like with the timeline, even that 5-day deal right there, it looks like he's out for Sunday. Now, I'll have to finalize and clarify with the trainers, but the conversation I had this morning with them, that's what it indicates.
Is Darnay Holmes done for the year, or could he come back?
He's not going to play this week for us. There's a small outside shot for next week. We'll see how he goes ahead and progresses. He's still, rehabbing right there. He's actually in the weight room right now working with Fitz and his staff doing some things. It's definitely not playing this week.
What's the perspective you guys take for the Bears quarterback situation at this point?
I think they have 3 good quarterbacks. I mean, that's a pretty good luxury right there. I think they've done a good job managing the offense with a lot of changing parts this year with guys going in and out. But when you look at, having a young quarterback, 2 older quarterbacks, balancing that room, obviously, that takes some managing right there. And they've done a pretty good job with it.
Do you have to prepare for Foles, though? Is that
you've got
the way you go about it?
You've got to talk to your team about any which guy that's going to play. So, Foles, the Fields, and those guys, you've got to show them the differences in how they play. They're different players altogether. Foles will very aggressively push the ball down the field. He'll extend plays and look to force ball in the tight windows a lot of times. Fields is a young player. He's still learning this league. He's going to be a very good player in this league. But he's got, as talented an arm as there in the league. He's got great athleticism to really extend plays outside the pocket. He can pull the ball and make plays with his legs. But he can also, as we saw with Hurts, get outside the pocket, keep his eyes down the field, and he's got that arm talent to throw it wherever he needs to on the grass.
Joe, you've been a coach for a while. I mean, is there anything that goes through a player's head when he goes back to a field where he suffered a major injury?
I can't speak for the individual player. It's probably a better question for the player. I can't say that individually it doesn't come up. I don't think that answer there reflects someone in our locker room directly. But I understand the question. It's a good question. To me, it's kind of more you gotta check your guy's psyche every week, and that's all of your players understand where they're standing at. But I've dealt with different guys with different types of injuries. I haven't dealt necessarily with something that's affected someone going back to the scene of it.
Taking 2 more.
Own their first-round pick from the trade. Do you find yourself keeping extra close tabs on their results as the season goes along?
No.
Joe, a couple teams, including the Patriots, have won games recently by not throwing the ball. I think Matt Jones threw it 3 times in that one game against the Bills. Would you be willing to even do something like that if you feel like it gives your team the best chance to win a game?
Yeah, I would do whatever it takes to win a game, guys. Whatever gives our team the best chance, that's what we go through in game plan. Look, we're not into statistics. We're not trying to throw for a certain amount or run for a certain amount. We're just trying to win the game. So whatever it's going to take week by week, we'll game plan differently every week however we have to match up against that opponent and give ourselves the best chance.